Welcome to the Leafy Podcast, helping real estate investors and entrepreneurs grow. Say hello to your hosts, Jennifer Goglorick and Brian Price, founders of Leafy Legal Services, teaching you how to protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth. Let's start the show.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leafy Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us again today. Today, we have our lovely hosts, Jennifer and Brian. They are from Leafy Legal Services. Brian is the CEO and Jennifer is the COO of that company. They have another awesome guest for us today, so I'll go ahead and pass it on to them. Jennifer?
So today we have on the CEO of a Texas-based Pinnacle Storage Property. So Pinnacle Storage is privately held. They're national real estate owner-operated focused. And so right now we're all trying to think of other ways, other types of investments. I am very excited to get them on the show because we all want to, us as real estate investors, and of course we also help protect your assets, but we want to look at all different types of asset classes, and now is the time to do it. We're coming out of this time where we've had to reprioritize things in our life, and so now it has opened up a lot of opportunity for us to research and learn about new things. So everybody, let us welcome John Maines to the show. He is CEO of Pinnacle Storage Properties. Hey, welcome, John.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, welcome, John. Hey, I appreciate being on today. And, it's interesting. The storage market is something I don't think many people consider. So I'm interested to hear kind of your background and how you came into, focusing on kind of the storage market with investing.
It's really by accident. I spent 17 years in retail. I always say like the Walmarts and Kmarts of the world, even though I worked for either of them. I worked for a lot of regional players and worked my way up to district, regional manager, things like that, and just got burnt out with it. And then in 2005, I took a 5-month hiatus from life, went fishing like 3 or 4 days a week, and kind of regrouped my life in 05. Excuse me. And I started to apply to jobs that were on the multi-store level, like retail. Mm-hmm. I was applying to multifamily, like regional manager of multifamily and general manager of like 3 warehouses and things like that. And I applied to a district manager's job of a self-storage company. And at the time, it was the 4th largest self-storage company in the United States. It still is. They were Uncle Bob's then. They're now Life Storage. They rebranded. And I actually interviewed with them and didn't get the job. And 2 weeks later, I got a call from the HR lady and she said, "Are you still interested?" So I was actually their second choice.
That's a great
Is
feeling.
that not crazy? So yeah. I was their second choice. So ended up going on board with them and ended up out of 24 district managers being #1 in sales for 3 years in a row. Mm. So they promoted me to regional vice president of operations, and as a reward, moved me from San Antonio, Texas, to Buffalo, New York. So,
wow!
Oh, that's a lovely reward, huh?
I got to enjoy 500 inches of snow and
I know
that kind of stuff. So, that started my career. It was kind of by accident. I didn't even know what I was applying to. I just knew it was a multi-store thing. It had some construction, which I had construction background. It had some real estate, which I had some real estate background. But most importantly, it had a sales background to it. And that's what I had done 17 years is I spent 17 years of retail. And, Brian, you were saying that most people don't think of storage. Not only do most people not think of storage, they don't think of storage as a retail business. And it is. It's actually a retail business. And it's a retail business inside of a real estate play is really what it is. So what I did back then, and I still do to this day, is I teach my team at store level sales. I teach them open-ended questions, closed-ended questions, multiple choice selling, all the things that you would do in sales. And that's what incrementally grows the revenue, and the revenue corresponds to increase asset value. And so I went from there from Uncle Bob's to be the COO of the Jenkins organization here in Houston, Texas. 55 self-storage properties. Ran that for 5.5 years. And then 4 years ago, March 15th, Robbie Dunn, Eric Osterhus, and myself created Pinnacle Storage Properties and started buying our own stuff. And here we are 4 years later with $100 million worth of self-storage in our portfolio.
Holy
that's
cow.
awesome.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
Do you think that part of the success you've had in storage, especially, you know, starting out on your own, is because you're really good at, you know, selling doing the retail side of the storage business? Is that one of the key factors when you're investing in?
Look at this face. Why wouldn't anybody? It's a pretty face. That's why we've been so successful.
I love that idea of taking
so-
your background and spinning it, though. That is
Yeah.
really, you know, real estate investing really can be for everyone. There is a niche for everyone in their background. If you would have said, taken some retail guy and said, oh, we're going to turn him into a real estate investor tycoon, someone would have went, huh? You know, nah,
Yeah.
he's a worker, you know, but really you can spin. It's amazing the experience. And you took that spin. I love what you said, that it's a retail business in a real estate play. And it's great how you were able to put that spin on it using your background. I just love that.
So to give you an idea of something just as silly as can be, is back then with Uncle Bob's, they had 365 stores. Okay, I have 20 right now, but they had 365 stores. And I walk into the stores and none of their boxes, none of their locks, none of that has prices on it. And I say to my team, you know, I pick it up and I go, how much is this? And they go, wow, that's $6.99. I go, how do I know that? Right? So I did stupid things like price the merchandise. Wow. Suddenly, that's where I started because that's what I knew, right? I didn't know storage, I knew retail. And I threw a contest. This is what got me recognized is I threw a contest with my team that rewarded them if they sold a certain percentage of merchandise. And in storage, the average storage facility sells about 1% of total revenue in merchandise. So if you do $20,000 a month in revenue, 200 of it is merchandise. So I bet my store teams that they couldn't sell 2%. They were only doing 0.5% at the time. And I bet them that if they did 2% in merchandise sales, that I would stand in a box with a sign in front of their stores that says we sell boxes. And I ended up losing. They did 2% of sales.
Yay.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is when I took over that market, they were doing about $4,800 in merchandise in 14 stores. By January, they did 53. By February, they did 64. And little by little, we kept increasing sales because I started ticketing it and teaching them how to sell it. Well, I made them the bet in March for April. And in March, we did $8,500. And I kept heckling them over and over and over again. You're running out of steam. You're not going to have any merchandise for April, all this different stuff. Well, the bet for April was that they couldn't do $9,300 in sales. And they did 95, 75 or something like that. And they beat me and I lost. The interesting thing is the contest was over in April. They came back in May and try to guess how much they did. So we started 48, 53, 64, 85. In April, they did 95. What do you think they did in May?
13.
16,300.
Oh.
They never went below 15,000 the rest of the year, and they averaged $17,000 in retail sales the balance of the year. We ended up doing $93,000 in retail sales that year, and it put me on the map. And that's eventually what got me promoted, is because they did a front page story of the internal newsletter about how they beat me, and they had a picture of me in a box with a sign. But the reality was, I mean, like retail, like you're saying, it's a retail business inside of a real estate play. If you take that $93,000 and add it to a portfolio, divided by 0.06 cap, that's $1.5 million worth of value we added in that portfolio, 15 stores, just in merchandise alone.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's huge. And what's worse is, like, I think about my storage facility that I used, and I bought the lock and the bar from them. But they did have it priced out, because you're there and you're like, oh crap, I've got to get this. And then you're like, oh yeah, I didn't have the right one. I had a lock, but I didn't have the lock that fit. And then they had the locks that fit that you can't cut. And it's just so convenient.
The interesting thing about that is the psychological piece of that is, if you stop at a gas station to get gas and you go inside, how much is a gallon of milk?
Oh, it's like $4 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
I say $5, right? It's like $5.
Yeah.
Go to the grocery store. How much is a gallon of milk?
$3.29.
So you're paying almost double for it, for the convenience of being able to be there on your ride home, right?
Right.
Lock is for us in storage. You're renting space. You can go buy the same lock that I sell in my store at Walmart for $6.99, and mine's $13.99. But you're there.
Yeah. And you need it right now.
So it's like buying a gallon of milk at a gas station.
Yeah.
So I used all that psychological behavior to, in turn, raise revenue, which then in turn raises value, and so on. And that's what we do to this day. So we buy the mom and pop that doesn't sell merchandise, doesn't have late fees, doesn't charge an admin fee, hasn't done rent increases in 10 years. And that's the stores we buy, and we add value through operations for all of them.
Yeah, that's cool. When you're buying a new storage unit or facility, how are you looking to price it out when you're trying to buy? Everybody talks about you buy for cash flow on a single family house or something like that. How are you calculating that when you're doing like storage type of facilities?
I've got a model that has like 10 tabs at the bottom of it that talks to each other and all that kind of stuff that came out of this twisted mind and that twisted mind. It's not as easy as what you're saying, but it is. So like everybody talks about cap rates all the time, right? And and when they say, well, what cap are you buying on? And I always go, well, is that on your expenses or is that on my expenses? Is that on your year one revenue or my year one revenue? Because I can look at it any of those different ways, right? So it's kind of, to simplify it, is we look at what we can do operationally with that particular asset through improvements. Like we go in, new office remodel, new paint, new gates, new lights, new cameras, new team members in the office, all of that. We rebrand it to Storage Plus, which is our brand. All of that, we make it a Class A facility. And then we look at it operationally and say, all right, we're used to doing it this way and we get these results. And then we apply those results to the model. Totally different than saying like a single family home. If you pay $100,000 for it, you can get $1,000 a month and your expenses are $600. So you have a cash flow of $400. Ours is built on a scale that adds that revenue over time, 30-day leases. And we know that if you haven't done rent increases in 10 years and you're 30% below the market, I'm not going to come in and add all 30% right now, because then everybody moves out. I'm going to do 10% now, 6 months, do another 4%, another 6 months, do another 4% until I get to my 30% over a 18-month, 2-year time frame. It's all built into the model.
Yeah.
So yeah, what's great for the storage people that are actually storing there too, on the other side, is you're increasing a lot of value for them. Not only are you're upgrading what they've been getting, and you're also making it safer, because when you have these places as like a consumer that, it sounds great. Oh, you haven't upped their rent in 10 years. Yeah. Well, look at security and technology and someone's ability to come in there and break in there and get the stuff when you haven't upgraded it in 10 years.
Yep.
So you don't want to pay to put your stuff in a place that's going to be 10 times more easier for someone to break in and get it, or 10 times easier for one storm to, find every single little leak because they haven't put money back in operations. I mean, then you can't pay me enough to put my things in there. So it's really, smart when you're doing this, if you're in the storage space, to have these type of scaled plans like that, where you're figuring it all out, because it brings a lot of value back into the area, and just in the real estate value alone. Now you have a maintained property that's upgraded, there's cameras, and it just makes the general area more attractive too.
The other beauty of that is, upon an exit, after you do all of that, you get the lease up, you get it stabilized, you get it all cleaned up and so on. The REITs, the publicly traded REITs, they don't want to have to do all that. They just want to buy a cash flow, and they pay more for that cash flow. So upon exit, it allows you to get a better price for it, because they don't want to do all that work. So there is some elbow grease value added to that by doing that work. We spend between $150,000 and $200,000 on each facility that we buy to clean it up and fix it up.
Wow. And how many units you usually have in each of these facilities you're purchasing?
That's another great question. It's like cap rates to me, because I don't look at units a lot as much as I look at revenue, because every market, we're a micro business. So we're a 3 to 5 mile radius. So for you, if you look up a 10 by 10, Brian, out in your area, it's probably $235 or $2.35 per square foot, right? Here in Katy, Texas, it's $105 or $1.05 a square foot. So if I have 300 spaces doing $2.35, the revenue's be a lot higher, right?
Right.
I have 300 spaces doing 100, I'm only doing $30,000 a month. Where out there, I'm doing $75,000 a month. That property with 300 spaces out there is going to be worth $8 million, where the property here is going to be worth $3.4 million. So when you look at it from that standpoint, I have properties that are 300 spaces, and I have properties that are 1,000 spaces. I have properties that are 30,000 square foot, and I have properties that are 173,000 square foot.
Right.
You would like to think that the 173,000 square foot ones are going to generate a lot more business, so they sell for a lot more or buy for a lot more. That's not always the case. It's really market specific. We like secondary, suburban, and tertiary type of markets because there's no Class A facilities there. So we go in, clean them up, Class A. We don't mind being the price leader, because like we have a property in Belleville, Texas, population 8,000 people. We bought a property there doing $47,000 a month for $5 million. People would think you're crazy going to a tertiary market with only 8,000 people spending $5 million. We bought that in June. We've already added $7,000 worth of revenue per month to that property. So if you times that 7,000 times 12 is $84,000. In that market, it's probably a 6.5, maybe a 7 cap. So if you divide that by 0.065, we've already added $1.3 million worth of value to that property, and it hasn't even been a year. So to us, it's really not about square footage. It's not about how many units. It's really bluntly, it's about revenue, and it's about nickels and dimes inside that revenue. More nickels and dimes you collect, they equal dollars, and those dollars divided by a cap rate.
I just want to say that Belleville is a really great little town, and they have like this incredible bakery there, because I go there. The meat market and bakery, and I'm on keto now, so I just look. I drive right through there to go to Caldwell and Somerville, that funny. Sort of area.
They advertise on our billboard, by the way.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Man, that bakery is just like you just.
It is.
smell it in the air. It's so good. But the meat market's great. And they have really great Czech sausage, the really good peppered kind.
It's the meat market, yeah.
Oh, so
yeah.
good. Yeah, I love Belleville, Texas. Hi, Belleville.
It's the county seat. It's a tiny little town. You drive into town and there's a big horseshoe and a big circle in the middle, and you go around the circle and out the other side of town.
Yeah, the courthouse is right in the middle this big lawn, a circular lawn, the courthouse in the middle. You have to drive around it, and then in all the stores facing that circle all look like they're from the Wild Wild West. Yep. And then they have this old, like literally Western hotel that's there that wasn't renovated for years, and you just thought, I can just see, you know, saloon people going in and out of it. It's really great. It's very charming.
Don't blink.
You do. You will miss it.
The whole town.
And you will hit the courthouse because you have to do the turn. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So something else that I'll highlight that we're good at is not just the operational piece, but we're really good at rebranding and remarketing. Like we have a lot of mom and pops that don't do a really good job of that. And I'll show you through a visual for those people that watch this. This is my jacket I wear to conferences that have SelfStorage property logos all over it.
So he's wearing a jacket, folks, if for those of you who are listening in your car, and it is the loudest damn jacket I've ever seen. It is a jacket that has, it looks like these blue boxes, but they're like odd-shaped boxes that has the logo all over it. It is bright blue and white. So give you a visual.
For when you go to conferences and things like this, I'm known for funky jackets like this. What they do is they start conversations all the time. So how we've been able to find storage properties as well as investors, as well as bank relationships and so on, is walk up and they go, nice jacket. And I go, thanks. What do you do? And next thing you know, they're in our database. And next thing you know, we're marketing to them. And use CRM and all that kind of stuff. And so not just at store level, we do a really good job of rebranding the property through a brand name, a national brand name, as well as clean, organized facilities, professional people in the office, that kind of stuff. But on the corporate level, we do the same exact thing. And we use a company that we're partners with out of Austin, Texas called Fine View Marketing. And Christina Alvina, who owns that business, has been in storage for like 10 years and went out on her own and created this machine of a marketing company that just crushes it. So I'm guessing we're going to talk about Corvid maybe along this and how storage is done.
Yeah. That's we were going to move to that, but I always like to hear about great marketing people.
I mean, so like during a time like this, the Fine View's done such a great job for us that we've, in March, we were up 25%. Last month, we were up 18%. So far this month, we're up 20%, all during this time. And it's through marketing, period. That's it's
you know, I think that y'all would do really well right now, just because I can, my own thing. So now, you know, unfortunately my partner, he was laid off temporarily until July, and he was an essential worker, and he worked at a plant. And so now you have all these adults in the house, and you just notice how little space you have because of junk. And so I was going, we need to get a storage place. I need to put you to work. We need to get all of this out of there. We need to declutter, right? And I just think that there's
drive to Katy. I'll give you a really good deal.
Yeah, that's what I'll do. Katy is
I know it's a little hike, but come on.
Yeah, it's like 3 hours away. You have to go on I-10. I never even leave the island. Are you kidding me? Like, here.
It's not 3 hours anymore because there's no traffic on the road.
Right? Right. It's 2.5 now. Ta-ding!
So that's great to hear that even during the pandemic, you actually seen increased sales. Is, you know, even with as you've gone through this stuff, have you seen even through recessions and things like that, you know, storage really isn't affected too much?
So this is my second big cycle that I went through. I've been in storage for 15 years, and I was in storage during the 08, 09. And I always say this, that the company I was with was a publicly traded company, and the whole market crashed, right? Well, their values of their properties crashed because of how assessment of assets work.
Right.
They dipped along with the market.
Mm-hmm.
The irony to that was from 2008 to 2009, they only had a 2.5% decrease in sales year over year. It was the only year in their 35-year history they ever had a decrease.
Yeah.
It was only 2.5%, where the rest
Mm-hmm.
of the market had a 40 to 50%. So not only did they dip, but they bounced quickly as well.
Yeah.
During that time.
Okay.
In this situation, a little bit different, I think, and that is to your point a minute ago about how you're sitting around looking at your house telling your partner, we need to get a storage unit. What I've been teasing and saying, husband and wife are at home, homeschooling the kids. The wife's bitching at the husband that the garage is too full. He wants to get out of the house from homeschooling the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Go onto our website, rent a space, come to the property, move everything in and lock it up and leave and never touch anybody or never talk to anybody. And during this time,
Yeah, that's a good one.
it's as ideal as it gets, right?
It is.
Yeah.
That is as ideal as it gets. Yeah.
And he gets out of the house and he doesn't all the time. So
That's smart. That's smart.
Yeah. So I think now it's a different time than it was in 08, 09.
Mm-hmm.
If you study the different REITs, whether it's multifamily or warehousing or storage, etc., you're going to see the number. I've been reading all these different articles. The number one REIT through this whole thing has been Public Storage. And I got people texting me these articles all the time because I was more worried back in January when the market was at a peak. I was more worried for storage than I am right now, because when the market's at a peak like that, banks are throwing money at people because they're looking for a yield.
Mm-hmm.
And people wake up, like you were saying, Brian, they say, well, storage isn't top of mind. All of a sudden they hear how good storage is and they're like, I'm going to build here. They don't do any market study. They don't try to figure out whether the market's oversaturated or not. They just know that's where all the cool kids live. So they're going to build where the cool kids are at. Right. And in the end, they oversaturate a market. Mm-hmm. Not nervous back in January for the oversaturation than I am right now because construction lending has 95% dried up right now, which is good for existing operators. There's no on the supply, and there's not going to be any more supply hit the ground, and we can maintain and or grow rates where before when you add new supply, it compresses rates. So a little bit different this cycle around than the last.
I just love this. So guys, we are talking to John Main, CEO of Pinnacle Storage Properties, and we are getting a different background than we normally do. So that's why I really like it, because we're looking at how, when we as investors, it's important if you're looking at passive investments, like if you were considering being an investor and talking to John and seeing if this is something you want to dip your toe in, it's really important the team that you pick. And I want y'all to pay attention to this for people who are just now learning about it, because you want a team that's going to be thinking about, hey, what about the merchandise? What about people coming in and feeling safer in this facility? And there is just so much more to it when you're looking at that. So picking the right team is pretty important for that, because we're not going to have all this experience as real estate investors. So one of the good things that you do is find experts in the field that like and trust. Networking is king with real estate investors, and then partnering with the people that you feel comfortable with, that you're like, yeah, they understand me and that's their jam, and I feel comfortable that they're in the end, they're going to provide a great value to my portfolio that I'm trying to build up. So that's great. I think we lost Tammy, but we're going to have to wrap it up because we're at the little end here. Again, we're talking to John Mains of Pinnacle Storage, and I cut Brian off and he had a question, I'm pretty sure. Did I?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it just seems like storage is, as long as you know the numbers, it seems like you're very number oriented. So as long as the numbers seem to line up when you're buying, it seems like it's a pretty good no matter what, the property may go up and down, but as long as you're buying and you feel like it'll cash flow, it seems like it's a fairly good investment for people to get into. If someone
It's interesting because
starting,
what she
would you
just
suggest they get into that? Yeah.
So it's interesting what she just said in comparison to what you're saying, because I tie those two things together. I get approached all the time about, whether people should get storage or not, whether they should be sponsors or passives or things like that. And the number one thing I tell everybody is it doesn't have to be us, but pick a partner that knows what they're doing, period. Can you make money in this industry not knowing what you're doing? Sure, you can. And are you going to lose money? Probably not. I mean, I have got a couple assets that the owners have totally screwed up. But overall, you can trip over yourself, make some mistakes, and still make okay money.
Yeah.
Problem is, if you partner with somebody who knows what you're doing, you're going to make a lot of money instead of a little bit or lose a tiny bit of money. So I combine those two things and say, can anybody do it? Sure. Is it easy? Relatively. I mean, when we refresh a space compared to multifamily, they have to put new carpets, new countertops, all that, it's $5,000 to $8,000 refresh. We walk in with a broom and dustpan. So can you walk in with a broom and dustpan, sweep out space? Sure. I mean, that's relatively easy, right? But do you market them? Can you build a brand? Do you have a team of people that when somebody quits, you don't go, oh my God, who's going to run that store? All of that stuff. Partner with somebody who knows what they're doing, knows how to write it, knows how to analyze it. So you're not paying too much for that asset, all that kind of stuff. And then, and if anybody that's listening to this wants to reach out to me, it doesn't have to be us. And if I know the individuals that you're going to partner with, I'll give you what I know about them. Because the bottom line is, and you know this, with what you guys do, if you find the right lawyer, you're spot on, right? You don't find a corporate lawyer to do real estate law, right? So, I mean, so you don't find a multifamily guy that wants to go buy storage. You go find a storage guy that wants to buy storage. So the better you can fine tune that with partners, the more success you're going to have. No.
Absolutely. So guys, we're wrapping up now. And I hate to, because I could talk to John for a while. So this is John Maines, CEO of Pinnacle Storage Properties. If you want to speak to John, you can go to pinnaclestorageproperties.com. And of course, we will have all the links in this, tied to this episode. We're on every platform. So whatever your platform, if you want, just look at Leafy Legal. Be sure to give us a rating. We love ratings on iTunes. That helps us reach more people and get more education out. So we love it when you give us a like. And if you have any questions for John, you can reach out to Tammy Gearling. That's TAMMY at leafylegalservices.com. And if you need your assets protected before you go out and become a real estate guru in storage, then give me a call and I will help you do it. So thank you guys for joining us with John Maines, CEO of Pinnacle Storage Properties, and you have a great leafy day. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Attention real estate investors and entrepreneurs. Did you know that real estate investors are a primary target for lawsuits? According to the National Survey of the Court data, 25% of Americans risk being sued in their lifetime. However, if you are a real estate investor, you have a 95% chance of being sued in the next 20 years. Leafy Legal Services helps you protect your assets and strategically grow your business and wealth. Leafy Legal Services are experts at the Series LLC and Delaware Statutory Trust, two of the newest and most ideal legal structures for real estate investors. Leafy Legal Services have the most personalized and affordable solutions for setting up LLCs. Property owners are always at risk when it comes to their assets. Anonymity is so important. If you own just a rental house and you own your home, you have to protect yourself and your properties from any potential legal issues. Leafy Legal Services have the right solutions to make sure you are happy and feel secure. They offer cost-effective documentation information that suits their clients' needs. For a free consultation and ebook, visit LeafyLegalServices.com. They are waiting to hear from you. LeafyLegalServices.com.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Don't wait. Take action now. LeafyLegalServices.com. Protect your assets, grow your business, and manage your wealth.